This is the May 10th meeting of the Underhill Energy Committee. We now have a quorum. I'm recording it, and I am calling the meeting to order. It looks like Steve is already taking notes. Oh no, he's not. That's the April meeting. The first order of business is we need to. Oh yes, somebody's taking notes here. Is that Steve?
Yep.
Okay, I did exactly what he asked, so I guess Steve will be our note taker for this evening. We are having this meeting again under the provisions of the Vermont state law that allows us to meet remotely, so we are indulging ourselves in that regard. And I gather until we decide to do something different or the law expires, we'll continue to do so. So we're doing that. Are there any adjustments to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and work with this agenda and see where we get. I see Steve is making our attendance notations all set. The next order of business is public comment period. Seeing no public, I think we can safely skip that. So the next order of business is review minutes from April 12th. I don't know if anyone has had an opportunity to look them over. They exist. They are posted on our Google Drive. I didn't see any comments on it when I last looked, but that doesn't mean that nobody has any thoughts associated with that. So can I have a motion?
Moved.
Okay. Any discussion on the minutes from April 12th, 2023? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of accepting the minutes, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are adopted. The draft minutes are now the final minutes from April 12th. So moving right along, back to the effort at. I was going to just have a very brief item on here for committee operations. Don't know if anybody has any thoughts on this. We are still looking for additional members. 2 of those, one to replace Ruth and one to give Steve an opportunity to step a little further back. I like the idea of getting Steve off the committee because I'm sure he'll do quite as much work, probably more, but we won't have to include him in any open meeting law consideration. So we got to get him off the committee formally. So I think he's going to be another Peter and Jerry as this thing goes. We'll have the best committee in Underhill, but I don't know if anybody has any thoughts. I'm thinking that maybe we are looking at the possibility of a number of events coming up. It's possible that, our presence at the farmers market or at the EV demo, that sort of thing, will interest some people and they'll think about joining our merry band. But I've got nothing other than that. If anybody knows anyone, obviously. Yes?
Did you ever connect with that person who said he might be interested, but he couldn't do Wednesdays?
I have not succeeded in connecting with him, and I think that was me. I think that was on my list of things to do, and I did not. I don't recall having done it. I will go back and circle back to that. If we could include a note in the minutes that Michael needs to do that, I will endeavor to do that on our to-do list. Any other thoughts, or anybody know anyone? Probably not, since we've asked this question a million times. Yes,
have we tried posting on, I think, doesn't Front Porch Forum have a sort of a directory section with a handful of different categories, one of them being like community? Have we tried? I don't know. Haven't looked at it in depth. I don't know what, but
I am unfamiliar with that.
Okay.
But we can look into it.
I'll take a look.
Take a look. Yep. You can put me down for that too, Steve, if you want. We don't need to make Graham do it. He's got enough with kids and a full-time job, even though it is his good idea. So,
what was it?
Look into Front Porch Forum special category listings or something like that. I don't.
Yeah, there's some sort of a directory component to it that might be useful.
Okay. Move on.
Okay. Yep. Moving on to ARPA projects. Maybe we can blast through this agenda really quickly. I just wanted to report a couple of things. One is as far as I know, the select board has not actually voted on these. I mean, they had their hearing and we all appeared, and there was a kind of almost a groundswell of people saying that the committee had done the job that they should have done, and they liked the recommendations, and they thought that the select board should adopt the projects as they were recommended by the committee. I have heard nothing more since then, which is probably a good thing since they're going to undoubtedly start a sidewalk committee, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to dodge that bullet, but for the moment, since there's no such thing going on, I don't have to worry about dodging it. But I did want to report that, for one thing, there is nothing on that. I did have a task to get in touch with Dan Mans about weatherization and the standards to which the Habitat for Humanity homes were going to be constructed. I heard back from Dan Mans. He didn't know that, but he knew that they did have a good job. But he passed me along to someone else, and I have not yet forwarded that particular email to you guys. It is David Mullins, who is Chief Executive Officer for Green Mountain Habitat. And basically he says, and I can give you a quick rundown on it, I'll forward this to you guys. It says, the homes we build meet and receive the, quote, Efficiency Vermont Certified and Energy Star Certified, unquote, standards, exceed those standards. These standards both go above and beyond Vermont Renewable Residential Energy Standards, RBES, which will be bumping up again to 2023 RBES at the end of this year, beginning of next. In addition, all of our homes are equipped with mechanical ventilation, this HRV, which I'm not quite sure what that is, but units. And because of the care we take in selecting paints and interior finish materials, our homes also meet the indoor air quality standards for no VOCs, volatile organic compounds, as I recall. We want these homes to be affordable at the start and for a lifetime, along with being healthy for the homeowners. So that is the information I received in response to our request for information. It sounds like they're being built to pretty high standards. It doesn't specifically mention a stretch standard or something, but they claim to exceed the RBES standard. So I think that sounds like a pretty promising start. I don't know if anyone has any additional comments to that. No comments or thoughts or anything more that we want to do with it? Are we satisfied with what's going on there? Should we actually get those things built? Hearing no objections, I'll say that's a yes. And since there really is no other business associated with this, I think we can move on now.
Do you want to make a summary statement for the minutes?
What's that, Steve?
Do you want to make a summary statement for the minutes? I didn't get anything down.
Just say meet or exceed VT RBES standards. About Ray, Habitat for Humanity homes, meet or exceed Vermont RBES standards, and I will forward the email to you all that document that.
So how do they plan on heating those buildings?
That was not, he did not include that. I can also inquire. I don't know whether they'll be going with cold climate heat pumps. It seems to make a certain amount of sense under the circumstances, but I don't know what that is. Good point, Jerry. Would you like me to inquire further? Do you guys think we should?
My other question is, will they have solar on the buildings?
Again, that was not included in the information. I can get back on both of those questions. Glad to do it.
I think we should highly encourage both.
That sounds good to me. I will pass that along and report back to you at the next meeting, and also forward the email that I received that I just read.
Up here.
So we should probably have a red item there, Steve, for me again.
I'm working on it, but I just don't have the words. Now it's the words.
Contact Ray heat source and available PV or solar.
I'm having a hard time with words. Will what? Will contact who?
Advocate. Communicate.
Oh, who are you going to contact though?
The guy's name is David Mullins at Green Mountain, basically Green Mountain Habitat for Humanity, GMH4H or something like that.
Okay, do I get it?
Looks good to me. We'll go with it. Okay, that aside, we're coming up on an item that will possibly have some additional community thoughts and stuff about it. The AHA cold climate heat pump discussion.
Michael.
Yes, Peter.
Michael. I'm sorry, I didn't
Yes.
realize you'd moved away from the ARPA projects. I just wanted to ask,
Oh, sure.
I know that in discussions that we've had in the past, there were some questions about the town hall solar, how it would work, given the fact that the town hall is already a customer of Green Lantern, the Green Lantern Array. I think, didn't we have some issues that we needed to get resolved to understand how that would work? And I think that also at some point you, Steve, and I took a look at where you would actually put this array. And I'm not sure we came up with an answer to that because of where the boundary lines are and because of where the trees are to the south of the town hall. Anyway, question is for you, are there some questions that we're still in the process of researching?
I would
I
suggest
believe
that
there are. Yep,
I
Steve.
would suggest those questions are pending, but there's really no point going further until the ARPA projects are approved.
Okay.
That's basically what I was going to say, I think, was that it makes sense to go ahead with the approval process and try to insert ourselves into the process when it begins to crystallize or, take on some kind of reality. And I think that makes the most sense to me. I don't know. Does anybody else have any thoughts on that?
Oh, I'll follow on quickly here. If it comes up in a select board review, and I don't know when they're having their next public hearing, I should say, what do we say? Well, that's something we have to look into, or are you not anticipating a question along these lines? Either of the lines I mentioned.
As far as I just got an interesting email here from Sarah Bear under Please Join Us, Underhill Energy Committee. Let me see what that is. It's something about Underhill Energy Committee. And basically, as far as I know, the hearings are done. And it's only a case, I didn't know whether they want to have any further discussion, in which case I'd be glad to attend and participate, or how they want to handle it after this. I don't know what comes next. I thought they would have responded I thought it would be on the agenda for tomorrow's meeting, but I don't see it there.
No, it's not. I talked to
So,
Brad about the previous meeting, and um, I think Bob Stone was not available, so they didn't do it then. I'm not sure why they didn't do it tomorrow.
I'm sorry, Steve, what?
I talked with Brad a while back,
Yep.
and he said that the first available meeting, they were not going to discuss ARPA because they only had 2 out of the 3 members. But I was surprised that it
Right.
wasn't listed for tomorrow's meeting. I don't know why.
Right. I was kind of the same way. I thought it would be on this coming meeting, but so I don't know. And I thought I'd get in touch with Jennifer at some point and see what if she knows. She must know what's going on with it and what the process will be. So I guess I didn't feel like I thought they probably have their reasons for doing what they're doing, but nonetheless, I'll follow up on it. So, but I agree with Steve. To me, it makes the most sense to go ahead with the approval process, get everything, get the project list kind of nailed down and actually find ways to make it work and resolve any, final issues that are associated with it. But I'm not anticipating another hearing at this point.
But I
Yeah,
do think
that's
Peter's right that we've got some pretty serious questions about if it's even doable
We do.
on
I
site.
had an idea, but we can follow up on that. But nonetheless, I mean, it's a very legitimate question, and the only thing I'm counting on is that the folks that were involved actually have seen the site. I mean, they are aware of the site that we're looking at. If nothing else, I could look at it on Google Maps and see where the trees are and the south is, and so on and so forth. So I hope that neither firm would basically say they're perfectly fine with doing whatever, putting solar up when when it is transparently obvious that they could not do it. That's kind of what I'm counting on at this point.
Okay, I say we move on for now, if that's okay.
yeah, I'm fine.
Yep, it's okay with me. So next item on the agenda is the Affordable Heat Act and cold climate heat pumps. Basically, I don't know that we have to circle back too much to cold climate heat pumps at this point, except insofar as it affects anything we may want to do about the Affordable Heat Act. At the time, a while back, as of our last meeting, we said we would draft a letter and send it to send to basically Trevor and Edie. I drafted such a letter, and but I didn't wind up posting it to our Google Drive because in the time it took me to draft it, basically the legislature passed the bill. So it didn't seem to be a big yank to get something into them. However, since we're in a veto and or override situation and potentially an implementation situation, I think we could have something to offer. Whether Trevor and Edie would be the ideal people to offer it to, I am slightly less sure. But so the letter that I had drafted with one important change, which is Peter had reminded me that in the letter that I originally drafted, we had neglected to mention that we do not like the idea of biomass as a significant energy source for that's been a position of this committee for some time. So I added a clause on that. That letter that I wrote is currently available on the page that Steve put up for suggestions and ideas. I put it at the top. I have not seen any comments or suggested edits to it. I don't know if anybody has had a chance to even look at it, but we probably, if we want to do something to get involved with the legislative process, we probably need to do that right away. If we want to do something to try to participate in the rulemaking process, we can probably take our time and send it up with Dwight when he takes his seat on the committee. So we'll see how that goes. I would open it up for discussion from others at this point. Dwight, you're muted.
There is no implementation. They say it's only study. So they're not implementing anything. So they say.
Right. I'm saying what I guess I should say properly follow on the I meant implementation as implementing the law. And the law says to find out what they can do, as I recall. Yeah. Peter.
My reading on this whole thing is I don't know if it's accurate, but it seems to me that what's happened is they proposed this Affordable Heating Act, which is, I'll make a side comment, it's just picking that name as a definitely sort of a marketing gambit, which is a bit of a turnoff. But not to go there, it seemed to me that what's happened is they found a lot more objections to this law, not just from people you would expect to object, but even some environmental groups. I offer as an example 350.org, who I don't know if you've seen their website message, but they had very strong objections to certain aspects of this bill. And it seems to me that what's happened, and by the way, as I understand it, the House is voting tomorrow probably to override the veto or not. Perhaps we don't need to worry about that. I would say we shouldn't worry about trying to influence our representatives on that vote. It seems that this bill has kind of fallen into a very special category where all kinds of input's going to be required from all kinds of people in order to get it to approach an implementation form. And I think even those who support the bill have made a point to say that, look, this is just this vote, and if we override the governor's veto, essentially is a way of getting this act on the table, approved up to the point where it says, well, we need to do a whole lot of research and we need to solve these problems before we even think about implementing it. That, I don't know, that's my reading of the situation, but I liked your letter, Michael, very much. I have a few suggested edits, which I don't know how you would like me to do that. I can send them to you in an email or a public, a group email, or I can try to edit them in the. Anyone can edit that letter, is that right?
Anyone on our committee, that's correct.
Yeah,
Steve,
okay.
that's right,
Well,
right?
I will have to send these suggestions to you. They're just a couple.
No, I mean,
and
you're on our committee list, Peter. You could edit too.
yeah, they have to do with tone, and it's just because I suppose my point of view on the act, it was done too hastily and without enough thought and with some bad science. And for example, you say we regret the governor's veto. I don't think we should regret the governor's veto. What he's done is he's forced people of both parties to take a closer look at this. So that's why I would suggest you simply leave that business out about the governor's veto. And this may sound nitpicking, but I would not use, you say at some point, we believe that these important considerations, and they're good, they were well stated, by the way, the AHA could make an invaluable contribution. Invaluable, I'd strike that. I mean, invaluable sounds like we actually believe that you need the AHA in order to make any progress at all on climate mitigation. So, as I say, it's a matter, I'm speaking to the tone of what you've written, but it's good. I mean, your points are, including the recommendations that are at the end of your letter, are excellent. You caught them all, and I would say that what we ought to look to is finding out how we can best use a letter like this. Not right away, because I believe the veto is going to be overridden but once the process starts where they're really taking a close look at what needs to be done to make this viable.
Just because our representatives, I've been in contact with both of them. They're not changing their mind. They are voting yes.
To
So
override.
yes,
Okay,
so
yeah.
disappointed with, but that's
Yeah, I had some of this language that I put in it was just to respond to the specific circumstances, thinking that we would be attempting to insinuate ourselves into the legislative process. But if we are looking more to insinuate ourselves into the kind of study / rulemaking / whatever process, obviously some of those things could really quite readily be changed. I would hope that we could all, have at what I wrote. I mean, this was meant, I took what we said at our previous meetings and tried to put some language around it and get it up so that it would work. And I think another piece of this would be, since we know, or we think that Dwight will be sitting on the group to try to implement it, what would be most helpful to him to carry from us backing him up in terms of making this thing work. I mean, I think it could be invaluable, but we don't have to say so. But regardless, it could be very helpful. However you want to put it, that's fine. But I think, if Dwight's going to be right there, it would be really nice to have this backing him too, kind of emphasizing his role and contribution in all of this. So I like
But if,
the idea. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
well, I just think, yes, we should back Dwight, but I would suggest that his street creds, so-called, I think really come from the fact that he's one of the top people in weatherization in the state, and he's been, boots on the ground. Oh, I hate these sayings, but I can't resist them. So,
Oh, go
but
ahead.
I agree with you. I agree with you, Michael, that it seems to me that what we might want to consider is, given the fact that it sounds like you kind of agree that we're not in the legislative process anymore, but there's a long way to go to resolve some of these problems and challenges. And I think that if we come up with a letter, and I think this is an excellent start. I mean, I could almost imagine you emailing it as is, but I think we should send it to all the players in the main players in the Vermont government, whoever they are, whether they're legislators or PUC members or whatever. And I think we gain a little bit of clout just because we are an energy committee and not, and they can look at our mission statement if they like. But I think we gain some credibility by doing it as a committee.
I do too. And I don't know whether Dwight gives us cred or we add to his cred, but I think the mutually reinforcing cred is only worthwhile. So I'm game for that. If people are up for it, I mean, it doesn't sound like we're in a big yank to get anything done.
No, right.
I'll call everyone's attention to it here in this meeting, and again, send an email. Dwight, if you're going to be if you're going to be in that position, I hope you will, if not actually kind of a veto thing, but I hope you'll, give special attention to what you're happy about, and what you feel good about, having backing you up too. So I would really appreciate any information from you on that.
well,
So
we're not sure what the committee makeup's going to be because they had twice as many nominees as they thought they were going to get. But there's only two of us that come at it from a low income advocacy position, and that's where I will be. And there's a lot of work to do to make sure that low middle income folks do not get left behind with this.
Yep.
Average beneficial electrification cost is $40,000 to $45,000 per existing home,
Right.
and that's to do the package right, and that's a nonprofit price. That is not for profit. So
Yep.
there's a lot of work to be done where I will be comfortable that they're not putting low and middle income Vermonters in a bad position.
Yep. And I'll be glad to have you doing it, quite frankly. So, think about as we go, what to work on, and, hopefully people will take a look at this and see what we want to say. Another thing that would be a help is if people started compiling this mega list that Peter mentions of places we want to send it. Anybody who can contribute to that list, we should finalize that list at the point we decide to send it. To whom. So that would be a help from my point of view.
Yeah, okay.
So we can all do that, right? Steve is going to tell
I'd
us what
say
we're doing.
yes.
Excellent. So comments from everybody and a list of places to send it. Do things we want.
Okay, could you put up a document along with, you got the letter up there as a document, but how about we have a separate document that lists, begins to generate a list of the people we think are, who are influential and the people we want to persuade to hopefully our point of view if we have a consensus.
Sure.
In a separate place so that we can look at it and not all be duplicating names.
Yep. I'll put it in the same directory. I think
Great.
I've gotten far enough. I don't have to ask Steve to do everything for me anymore.
Good. And then you can add a link to it in the minutes.
Yep, I can do that.
Nice work, Steve. Your mentoree is becoming self-sufficient.
Not totally, more like not totally dependent. There's a long way between not totally dependent and self-sufficient, I fear, but nonetheless, I seem to have managed to do one or two things all on my own now. So
good. So does it sound like, I can't propose a motion or anything like that, but it sounds to me that you might consider deciding formally that no effort will be made at this time to influence legislators with regard to their voting on the Affordable Heating Act at this point of the process. Something, whatever.
I don't
Or
think
maybe
we
you don't
need to
need
move
that.
to do nothing.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
We don't need to make a motion to just sort of sit still. We can do that all on our own initiative.
Or, well, you could turn it over on its head and make it a positive motion to aim at documentation or whatever you want to call it, to take an active part in the effort to influence people as this act is being sorted through, moving toward implementation.
Yeah. Now, I think we already have a motion basically to do this letter, and I think that's all the motion we need unless people want to do more with it.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
I think we do anyway. I mean, I've been doing it based on stuff in the last minutes that said I was supposed to.
Right.
We good?
Yep, that's great.
Move on.
Also, I'll edit the thing. We should all be editing the letter.
I will send you, since I'm not allowed to edit directly, I will send you my few ideas in an email, Michael. I will.
I think you can edit. You could. Nobody can edit. Only Michael can edit, but you can add comments, which is the same thing.
Basically
All right.
suggest.
Comments and
So then
suggestions.
everyone can see what you're suggesting, and we can all get together and decide what to do, and people can make suggestions
Okay.
to the suggestions.
Very good.
Excellent. So we'll go with that. Cold climate heat pumps will just fold into that. It just got kind of left over from the last minutes. Well, great. We're almost on time. I can hardly believe it.
Yeah, Peter, your login is the EC Vermont chair.
That's an old Google handle
Right.
that was given to me. Can I operate under a different, or must I come in under that handle?
You need to have a Google account to be able to edit.
All right. Well, I'll use that one or change it.
You could certainly change it.
Yeah.
Okay,
you
are
could
we
choose-
satisfied with this? Steve?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to the pre-audit program, which I just want to, Dwight has said we've got some things materializing on that. I also wanted to pass along, I received an email from Kathy McMains asking if folks from Jericho might be able to train with us. So I thought I would bring that up and see if there's any way we could respond to her on that. So
I would prefer that to basically use another cliche is get our shit together before we go public outside of their town and start training other folks. So
okay.
I think we should get our process repeatable and the same every time before we take on another town.
I will report that to her. So I guess that's one of the things that I will do. And Dwight, you were going to just pass along that we have one applicant. Something about that? Are we going to do it?
Could not find it in my email again, but we will reach out to him and or the person. It was a male that responded that they would like to do it, and I'll reach out and get their fuel and the basics that we agreed that we would have before we went out there, and figure out BTUs per square foot per heating degree day and that sort of thing before we went out there. And we will schedule that one as number one.
Great.
For those of you that
And
weren't
I
on,
will. Yep.
for those of you that weren't on, John and I wrote up a revised a front porch forum statement that we had. Michael published it, I think on Monday.
Yesterday, I think. Yeah, Monday was the meeting. Yesterday was this one.
So it's out there and live, and we'll see what we can do. And I know that Jerry's interested, and I think Graham is interested in going out with us. I'm not sure about Michael or Steve, but John as well. Ravi would like to get trained. So
I'd love to learn something about it, quite frankly.
I'm interested, but it's on my back burner for now.
that's
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will proceed on that and keep going. Follow up on that, and I will follow up on the training thing with Kathy McMains too. So that said, moving on to solar discussion. I think that we've more or less agreed that this is going to be one, we're going to try to make this a fairly significant piece of what we're trying to accomplish, to get some more solar done for Underhill. We're looking at the possibility of a couple of different tracks. One is some kind of CSA kind of arrangement where we'd be able to loop people into it, like the, I guess, failed Acorn one in Heinsberg, which doesn't give me, I didn't find that a ringing enthusiasm or something like that, but also to look at sites for potentially for people developing it individually. So my own sense is I'd like to, have it open up the discussion a little bit, but I think ultimately we should hand this off to the quote unquote solar sub team or whatever it is, and ask people to put together a list of what ought to be done and how we're going to do it, and see if that's what we want to proceed with, and hopefully proceed on some solar activity. So I'm open.
I'll just mention, I think last meeting I was asked to inquire with Suncommon about whether what the status of any CSA program, or I guess CSA development, and so I did. There's currently sort of a pause um, in that organization. Currently, for what it's worth, and it has to do with the I guess the brownfield type locations are uh, more advantageous and sought after in order to get a better essentially cost per kilowatt hour. And I don't know how that works, but that's what I
So
know.
Suncommon is not likely to be our partner for this. Doesn't sound like.
Not right, right. I also um, uh, Green Mountain Power has what they're calling their resiliency program. I don't know if anyone's caught that on their website or anything like that, but basically it's it's going to be sort of a phased program where they're using sort of general criteria of social vulnerability and power outage frequency as criteria to sort of choose locations across the state to work at implementing essentially microgrids and have the ability to island sections of the grid in the event of widespread outage, storms, et cetera, et cetera. So the Panton microgrid, obviously, that's sort of the poster child. But what I learned is that it's not necessarily like this. It's sort of so they have. I think they've got most of it is focused currently in this sort of beginning phase in down like in the Windham region, but it's materializing in different projects. It's not just sort of a solar plus storage and the ability to isolate a section of the grid. I think in Grafton, they just there was a bunch of there was a community where they provided power walls to all the like a pretty concentrated section of the community in order to so I guess what I'm getting at is it's coming in many forms. It's adapting. Underhill obviously is pretty far down the list in terms of their criteria, but something to kind of keep in mind, and potentially any of the current solar in Underhill, like the gravel pit or something. I mean, that seems like there's potential to down the road work to develop something like that, if that's at all of interest. But
Yeah, I think we should feed that into. Graham, are you on the solar team also?
well, I don't know. I think there was something about. Oh, yeah. I don't know.
Okay, well,
There
we should
was
be
maybe
definitely. We should figure out who
too many
people.
members, causing some complexities with the rules.
Well, I think
I think
it's.
I'd like to suggest that we include Graham
I
and
do too.
just warn the meetings. I mean, that's all we have to do is warn the meetings.
No, but it's just you, me, and Graham then, right?
And Robbie.
Oh, Robbie's on it too? Okay, we'll warn
Well,
it.
I thought he was.
That's fine. I think that's fine. Because I think
Good.
it really makes a lot of sense to have Graham on this team. I don't see
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely.
So okay, Graham, you've just been I don't know whether it's promoted or drafted or what happened, but you just joined the solar team and will warn the meetings because I think this could be a fairly significant piece of our work. Along with the weatherization, I think this is probably going to be the other side of it. So, that'll be enough for us to do a lot. Throw in some EV demos and that kind of thing, and we've got a really full plate here. So,
I like the term
and I think that
voluntold.
what's that? Wait,
What was that?
I like the term voluntold.
voluntold, right? That is a good term. So, I guess Graham, you've been voluntold to join the committee. So. The team or whatever. So we'll work with that, and I think that makes a lot of sense. So I think we'll have to try to schedule a group meeting and put together the actions we want to take and the course we want to take and get back to the larger committee about how we're handling that. So everybody happy with what we're doing about that?
I was thinking about it the other day, and I think South Burlington Energy has kind of leading the way on this. There's one or two towns, but South Burlington is working on the zoning and that no new construction can be in South Burlington that does not include solar. And I do not understand why we're allowing new houses to be built that don't have solar. And I think we should make an effort, or the solar team should make an effort to, I don't know what the right word is, hassle, lobby our select board into making that same thing for Underhill.
I think it makes a lot of sense. That said, I will volunteer myself to or volunteer your representative to the climate task force to assure that that is a recommendation of the climate task force as well. So
Every time we make outside inside without solar, we're bending the curve the wrong way.
right, no, it's a really good point, and
So Dwight, how do
I
they
think it makes a
handle
lot
it
of
if
sense.
the dwelling is just inappropriate for solar? Are they allowed to lease it from one of these other operations?
To be honest with you, Jerry, I have not read the actual regulation rule law or whatever select boards make to understand that. But I've always, if it's unacceptable, then you get a pass. But
Although
it's
with
an
a new
acceptable.
house, it seems like you should be able to figure out a way to do it. It's like with existing homes, I could see that there would be major impediments, but when you're building a new house, you can decide the angle of the roof and the solar orientation and all of that stuff when you're putting it up. So
Well,
um,
they've shown that ground mount stuff is more ground mount is more cost effective than roof mount, anyways. So there's that option, but
There certainly are pieces of property that have no clear access to the sun,
yeah.
but
right.
we could look into that, work around that.
Yeah, I think I have not seen. I agree with Dwight. I have not seen the actual South Burlington ordinance, but I did see a write up about it, and I think it's a great idea. For that, we should go that route too. And if there's a problem with people not being able to do it, then it should recognize that. But other than that, I think it makes a lot of sense. Okay, we'll add
Good.
that to Solar's job here. So
Move on.
okay. Anything more on Solar program that we want to talk about? Nope. Hearing nothing more. I'm willing to move on to the committee initiatives and things coming up. I guess I'll start with the joint EV event with Jericho Energy Task Force. Robbie and Catherine and I have been trying to get in touch with folks. Robbie just emailed me late this afternoon after he said he couldn't make it that he has gotten in touch with GMP. GMP is willing to participate with us in another EV event. I have been in touch with Dave Roberts. He says that they are willing to participate with us. Jericho Energy Task Force is looking to put together, I think after some back and forth about whether to do it as two separate events or one sort of consolidated event with an inside and outside parts. I think we're looking to do it as a consolidated event because when I talked to David Roberts, he suggested that people, if they go to an inside talk about EVs, and they get all jacked up about wanting to find out something about it, they don't like being told to go home and come back in a week or two to actually see something. So try to work around those things. That would mean that we'd be looking for sometime shortly after school got out in June to try to schedule this thing. That's coming right up. So I should know whether anybody feels that we should be doing something different or anything along those lines. We had said we wanted to do this before, and I have pursued it, and that's where we seem to be on it. So I open this one up for discussion.
Quickly, Michael, I'm sorry, I have to leave the meeting now. I have other things. I have another commitment at 6 o'clock, but thank you for everything.
Thank you, Peter. Okay. We still have our quorum, however. I don't know quite how those things work. If you start with a quorum but then lose it, can you still continue to work, or are you stuck?
No, they can't sit down.
Okay.
I think
Oh,
answer we lose the ability to pass anything.
Well, we've still got it anyway. So, any discussion about the EV event or the event, as the case may be?
Nope, sounds good.
Proceeding with it?
Is Robbie driving the process?
Actually, Catherine is probably driving it more than anyone. Robbie and I was talking to Dave Roberts. He was talking to GMP. Catherine is pulling together the venues and that sort of thing. So it's kind of a joint
Great.
Good. Endeavor there.
Good. Okay, move on.
Yep, that sounds good to me. Jericho Farmers Market. Again, I've been talking with Catherine about this. I guess as I have tried to get in touch with Elizabeth King, I have not yet succeeded, so I don't have a lot of very specific information to report. I do know that that Jericho, one of Jericho's committees, the Affordable Housing Committee, is taking it upon themselves to request a community booth once a month for the entire summer. Now, it's my understanding that a community booth is at least potentially available on any given week, so that we could just not double up with that particular activity, or when the Jericho Energy Task Force is doing it, double up with that. So there is the possibility of doing that. I am pursuing it. I assume that we are still interested in pursuing it. I guess before I go much further, I should open that up because that's going to mean that somebody is going to have to be there. I assume that I will be there at least the majority of the times. And Jerry, being Jerry, who knows? He seems to have an affinity for this sort of thing, and we find something to talk about when we get there. But we will need to have people able to show up for these things. Hopefully, more than just me. Are we on board with this?
I am not going to commit to being there,
Yeah, I hear you, Steve. I don't think you should.
just to be realistic.
Yep. No, I don't think that. I mean, I think that it's just out there. I'm going to need some help. I was able to do it pretty much every, what is it, Wednesdays, isn't it?
Thursdays,
No,
I
it's
think.
Thursday, right. So I was able to do it most of the time. I think I did it every time we did it last year. Might appreciate it one time off this year, but I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Now, that said, one of the things that we are looking at, I have been talking with Nick Atherton, and he's been interested in biking and e-bikes and that sort of thing as part of our whole program. And he has been very active with local motion. And in fact, the reason he can't zoom into our meeting tonight is that he's off riding with local motion tonight. He's going to talk with them about some of this stuff. He's making a suggestion that's slightly different from our previous ideas for the harvest market, but he thought that, and also talking with Catherine, it might be good to try to do an e-bike kind of thing, and in fact link it up with a whole bike night, if you will, at the Jericho Farmers Market, including the e-bike demo and locomotion. They have a thing called a bike valet service where people can ride their bikes and get them taken care of by locomotion, and they'll sort of mind the store while people are doing things and kind of turn it into a significant production. I don't know if that sounds attractive to people.
So if you're saying he would organize it and make it happen?
He would handle the locomotion side of it. We would be setting up our energy committee pavilion, and we would be linking those things up.
I think if it doesn't cost us huge amounts of energy and effort, I'd say it's a great idea.
Any other thoughts? Nope. All right. That said, I don't think we need a motion to do that, or do we? To put that, let's have a motion on that to pursue the bike and e-bike event at the Jericho Farmers Market as part of our activity. I would like a motion, I guess, for that.
I make the motion that we have a e-bike themed booth and event at Jericho Farmers Market one night this summer.
Sounds good. Any
How's that?
discussion on it? That's perfect. Any discussion? Hearing none, can we have a vote? All in favor of doing this, please say aye.
Aye.
Since there's nobody left to oppose it, I will give it to the ayes. The ayes have it. We are going to pursue this. It could still fall apart, I think, but we'll definitely pursue it. So, okay. That said, do we have anything else we want to talk about the farmers market? I know one time, Dwight, the big red door was a big attraction for people. I don't know if we can maybe get that there one night or something like that when we're there.
I was going to say I will, in support of it, I will commit to producing a weatherization themed night and bring all our fancy stuff and maybe some more fancier stuff.
That's great. Okay. So I don't think we need to move that, but because that's pretty much internal. So anything else?
I don't know.
Okay,
I call it
moving right.
It's awfully dirty.
What's that? I'm sorry, Dwight, I missed that.
I said I don't know why I call it fancy stuff. The weatherization is just a pretty dirty thing. Pretty dirty sport.
That's okay. It looks fancy to us outsiders. So okay, moving right along. Harvest Market. Again, I was talking with Nick about doing this. I think some of the air is going out of trying to actually do this as an actual shuttle. But Nick has mentioned that Locomotion runs this thing called a bike valet service, which means that if we could get people set up there, it would give people the opportunity to ride their bikes to Harvest Market, and Locomotion kind of gives them a ticket, and they take care of the bikes while they're off doing something else, and they can pick their bikes up. I guess that would also include e-bikes should they show up. It wouldn't be providing people with e-bikes, but if someone were to show up on an e-bike, they could handle that as well. And we could use that as kind of a biking promo potentially, and mentioning e-bikes. I don't know if we are interested in pursuing something like this. I'm sorry, Nick isn't here to talk a little bit more about it. He speaks eloquently and energetically about it, but he's off riding bikes tonight, or so I'm told. So
Michael, can we
I'll
back up
open
a
it up.
step? Can we
Sure.
back up a step and just who is Nick Atherton?
He's our new town planner.
Oh, okay.
Planning and
I would
zoning
like,
guy.
I would like to have, if he could come and talk to one of our meetings about it. And, I mean, we have a little bit of time before harvest market, so.
Yep.
Just to understand what our involvement
I
would be.
Yep. I will invite him to attend our next meeting and tell him that we are interested in it and that we would really like some input from him about what would really be involved. And, me trying to insinuate myself in the middle of this is not probably ideal. So I will pursue that and see if I can get him here.
I would, I think for myself, my opinion would be my preference would be to be involved in the harvest market. I mean, obviously we'll discuss and talk more with Nick, but do something as we're proposing here, a little more interactive rather than just posting up, with a booth or something like that. That's my 2 cents, whether it's a local motion, biking, or something else that we can cook up for this particular event.
Yep. Sounds good. I like it. So my job is to get Nick here for the next meeting, right?
That is
And
correct.
we will talk about it and make some decisions at that point. I'll try to let Kathy McMains know about that too, because I think it will be important for her to be aware of that and be part of that process. So, okay. I don't have anything more on that one, unless anybody else does. But the other thing, it would be good, we could set aside a whole thing to discuss the harvest market, any activities that we'll do with it. So bring your best ideas and, thinking caps associated with that. Then we can discuss that, of which this would be, I think, a potentially significant part, but there may be other things that we want to do. So we have not in the past, for example, tried to have a booth there or anything of that sort. So we should decide. I think that people at the harvest market are kind of, more into corn on the cob and corn dogs and that sort of thing than big educational thing. But if they can actually, as Graham says, kind of get an interactive, actual doing something with the biking thing, might be a very good way to do that. Really kind of
Yeah,
push
in the
that.
past,
So,
in the past, I agree with you that we've had very little interest. The things that helped drive some interest is when we had the bike that Efficiency Vermont provided, that you could power light bulbs and you could get the physical sensation of how much harder it was to power an incandescent versus a compact fluorescent. That got kids to come, and then the parents came with them, so we got a little bit of interest. But even that, I mean, people are not really into looking for new information. They're looking to just buy things and eat things, and
see friends and have a good time.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. But it's something we might think about for the farmers market, if we can get a hold of something like that. Do you know, Steve, where we might get a hold of that?
Well, we could contact Efficiency Vermont and see who has it. I mean, I can't think of the
Murphy
guy.
got it.
Murphy, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
He's got that bike?
He provided it. I'm not sure he has it, but he would probably know where it is.
Probably came from Efficiency Vermont.
Yes, I
I
think
think
so.
he worked for them at the time.
Yes, he did.
Can anybody get in touch with Bob? Don't all speak at once.
I could give it a try.
That would be great. Jerry will do that. Jerry,
Yeah,
our
I'll check in with Bart.
our adjunct member. Okay.
I think I replaced Bob Murphy on the committee, so.
I don't think it quite. I don't think you need to really treat it that way. His duties do not automatically devolve onto you, Dwight. We got plenty of uses for you.
Yep.
We could just let that one go. So. Okay. Anything else we want to talk about Harvest Market? Okay, I left website on here just because I forgot to take it off. I don't know if anybody wants to say anything about it. As I know Steve is thinking we should probably let that go. I'm not totally sure, but I'm certainly not working on it at the moment. If I learn enough as I make the website for something else that I'm working on, I might try to transfer those skills a little bit, but we'll see.
Well, I think we're still waiting at this point for the new website. Brad
Right.
said, I had a conversation with Brad a little while ago, and he said it's close to being ready for general use, but not yet. And I think at most that we would do would be just to have a few basic resources.
Links and that sort of thing. Yeah,
Links to Efficiency Vermont, links to whatever.
right. That might be all there is to it. And that would be great, maybe. So we'll loop back to it when something crops up.
Good.
Once we get the website up. So okay, I have an item for other. Is there anything else we want to talk about on our initiatives and events coming up, or do we have enough on our plate?
I think we're good.
Okay, moving on to the next one. I have
Wait,
I threatened
did Jerry have
before.
something?
Oh, Jerry, did you have something?
Guess not.
Yes, no. Jerry, you didn't have anything? You did have something?
Not yet.
Okay. So I threatened before to include a member item in case anybody wants to talk about anything at all, invasions from outer space or the new microfusion generators, anything that is on anyone's mind. The floor is open.
You're talking about Trump's trial.
Oh God, do we have to?
Maybe not. Maybe not.
I know. What can I say? What's that, Dwight?
It spoils my day whenever everybody mentions that guy's name. I told my wife the other day that, well, I shouldn't say it because we're being recorded, but
Feel free to.
Later.
there's some people you don't
Yeah.
mind if they get hit by a bus and disappear.
Yeah. I know. Speaking from an energy, I put entirely too much energy into this guy and situation. So it's my energy committee comment on it.
I'm on a new track. I control and make better what I can control and make better, and the rest of that stuff I don't worry about.
Yeah,
That's a good approach.
I wish I could stop worrying about it. What's that, Steve?
I think that's a good approach.
It is an excellent approach, but so far I have not succeeded in stopping worrying about it. So when you figure out the secret of that one, please pass it on.
Lobotomies.
Oh God, yes, there is that. That works, I hear. Well, let's not include that in the minutes. Is there anything else under? I may start taking this item off the agenda. Nonetheless, it was fun. Is there anything else we want to talk about while we're here?
It doesn't affect us a whole lot, but Vermont Gas has just come out with a natural gas cold climate heat pump combination that seems to be getting some. It seems like it's actually a good piece of equipment.
That sounds good.
Does sound good.
It's a hot air furnace, which doesn't help me at all, but I think that's something new that's coming along that we may want to explore and showcase at some point, because that's a ducted system that can be put in and completely work the same as a regular furnace and have natural gas when it's really cold. So
That sounds very. Now, is that potentially convertible to propane?
most things that are natural gas are, but I do not want to specify. I have not looked at the specs yet. So
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is because we don't have that much natural gas here in Underhill, but or as I like to call it, piped methane. There's kind of nothing natural about it, but
I do have
Natural gas.
one of my folks looking at it and doing a white paper, hopefully on it to see if it's something that we want to bring into our program. So
great.
So,
Did you
Dwight, is
pass
this
that
a
out when? What,
yep,
Steve?
Dwight, is this a product that's available now, or is this an idea?
it is available now. I don't like most new things. Like we've been looking at ducted. We've been looking at cold climate heat pumps, combi units, similar for that for mobile homes because traditional non-ducted cold climate heat pumps don't work for mobile homes. So, but the products are unavailable. The production is not ramped up enough yet to make them widely available. So, I'm sure that there's going to be some of that
Yeah,
slow rollout.
intriguing.
Yeah, it's very intriguing.
Yeah.
So
Shall we
hopefully you
move
can
on?
share that paper when it shows up. But I'd love to see that.
Yep.
Okay, anything else under member items? Holy smokes. So what have we got on our agenda for next meeting other than, I think the other items basically lay it out for us. We've got the letter activity, but that's already called out above. We've got the harvest market kind of information and the farmers market activity, and hopefully getting some information about the solar back from the solar activity. And what else we got here? Oh yeah, just report back on the Habitat for Humanity piece. But I mean, all of that is already listed in red above. Don't think we need to repeat it in next, in the next agenda stuff, unless anybody thinks so. But if anybody has anything that thinks ought to be there, Steve just put C in red or something like that. That's good for me. Anybody else? Okay, I like this way of doing minutes and assigning tasks. That's really the thing, as far as I can tell. But that said, we are at the end of the agenda, a few minutes early, but I have no objection to that, unless anyone else does. Is there anything else that we should be talking about before we head off to dinner or whatever we're going to do? Hearing nobody chomping at the bit, I would entertain a motion to adjourn, and I will turn off the recording, and Dwight can say whatever he wants.
So moved.
Okay, non-debatable motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Everybody voted aye, so nobody to